Gabby?
Mead!
Yay!
When do we want it? Now.
So yeah, so we're going to have Gabby brew some mead, and I'm not going to do anything except tell her what to do, so it'll be interesting.
Hopefully.
So, woohoo! So Gabby's first mead!
Mead!
So we will take you from first beer and first mead within 4 days.
Yeah.
Awesome. Woo! So, okay, we'll get ready to make some mead.
Let's do it.
So the first thing we need to do is sanitize our fermentation vessels. Yes. So we're going to use an iodine-based solution. These are our fermenting vessels. The 2 glass bottles here. They're just 4-liter bottles of Carlo Rossi wine. They're being rinsed out. You can spin it around and show the label. Just some kind of cheap old sangria. So,
Yeah.
but they make great fermenters and they're cheap. So we're going to use those. So we're just going to fill this up with water. First to sanitize our fermenters. Okay, so go ahead and put about a capful of sanitizing solution in each of those bottles. So this is an iodine-based solution. Yay! Capful's probably a little more than we need, but it's better to have more than less. And then, ooh.
Magic.
So this is going to sanitize both of these fermenting vessels and ensure that there's no ickiness living within them. We've already kind of cleaned them out and everything. So that's the first step. Sanitize your fermenters. So we got 2 gallons. We're going to be making 2 gallons of mead. So Gabby's going to pour that into our kettle right there.
Yeah.
So we're going to get our water for the mead boiling, and then we'll worry about adding the honey. Okay, so now we're going to add the honey. This is 6 pounds of orange blossom honey. We've taken it off the heat, so we don't have to worry about scorching the honey on the bottom. And because it's been heated up a bit, it comes out pretty easy. So now we've got the honey firmly blended in with the hot water. So we're just going to let that cool. And while we let that cool, we're going to get our yeast together. So we're not boiling the honey because we don't want all those aromatic compounds to just vanish. We really want to try to keep them into the brew. Even letting them in this hot might cook off a little bit of aromatics, but we really want to keep it good. But at the same time, I think this should be hot enough to pasteurize it so that there's not anything can grow in there. Okay, so what temperature is the water, Gabby?
101.
Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix the yeast in there. So right behind you on the counter is the yeast.
This?
Yep. So Gabby's going to take the yeast on there and just rip the little top off. So
Everything.
and then mix it with 2 ounces of water to rehydrate the yeast. We're going to let that sit for about 15 minutes while the rest of our mead cools. Stir that up a little bit. There we go. So now we've reconstituted our yeast. Next step will be to clear out our fermenting vessels and to mix this in. Yay. So since the must now that the honey is blended with the water, it's considered must. Now that that's it's about 200 degrees or something like that, and won't cool down in 15 minutes for the yeast to be ready, we're going to put it in an ice bath so we can crash cool it down pretty quick. And once we get that done, by 15 minutes or so, they should both be reasonably cool. So there we go. So it's important that we sanitize everything, so we're going to need to sanitize a funnel. So we'll sanitize it by pouring some of the sanitizing solution through the funnel. And we've also got this sanitizing solution. We got the end of the funnel in there. So it's still getting sanitized both on the inside of the funnel and the outside of the funnel. So by doing that, it'll ensure that everything, and we got the thermometer in there, everything will be sanitized. So sanitization is important, friends. So now we're going to pour the must. When you're dealing with wine or mead, it's considered must. And must increase the must. And so, yeah. So I'm going to pour this gingerly into this fermenter. Well, maybe not so gingerly. We want to make sure we give it a little bit of space in there, because it's going to have, it needs some room to develop a krausen. Krausen.
Gotta have that.
So I'm saving this sanitizing solution because we need to make sure our airlock is sanitized. So stick that in there. And we need to make sure our bung is sanitized. That just sounds dirty. So now we got our airlocks and our rubber stoppers in the sanitizing solution. We've also got our hydrometer and sanitizing solution. We're going to do a gravity reading here in a minute to figure out where we're at. But first, let's get the rest of this must in here. Okay, so now we're going to pitch our yeast. We're going to use a little bit of the, we're going to use the funnel so that we don't lose any of it. We're going to split this yeast up half and half, maybe even a little less than that. We'll see what happens. So we pitch it. So we need to get our test sample for our gravity reading. There we go. And so 1.08, let's see. Looks like 1.082. Okay, so now we've got our airlocks with sanitized water in it and our stoppers. This recipe was originally for 2 gallons, but I used all of the 2 gallons of water, and I just boiled the water a little bit, not a tremendous amount, so it didn't boil down at all. Oh, that one's the wrong size. So I actually ended up diluting it a little too far. That won't fit. Let me get another one. So I actually ended up diluting it a little too far, so we got 1.080. So this should not, I was originally going for a sweet mead, but I think this is actually going to end up being more of a medium mead, depending on how far the yeast goes. The yeast that we're using is a wine yeast, so it should easily go up to it. The ABV, according to the hydrometer, and I'll work out the calculations here, should be a little above 10% if it ferments out all the way. And if it does that, then we're going to have dry mead on our hands. So we'll see how it goes and keep an eye on it in the next couple weeks. I'll try to crash it somewhere around 1.020. That would hopefully keep it sweet, so we'll see how it goes. So I also do have superfood and tartic or mead acid blend. The superfood I'm not going to add just yet. I'm going to wait until tomorrow when the yeast start. So I've got also superfood, which is the same as like ferment K, but it's also got plus extra DAP, which is diammonium phosphate, kind of a nitrogen-rich blend, and it's going to add the nutrient. I also have a mead acid blend. This you normally add at the end of it before bottling to taste, to make sure that it's not too acidic. This we're going to add tomorrow. We're doing what's called SNAP. It's a staggered nutrient addition process. And so I'm going to add some nutrients tomorrow, let them use what's here. Then I'm going to add, so I'm going to add some nutrients tomorrow. I'll try to shoot that. And then when it's crashed to about a third, when it's eaten about a third of the sugar, I'll add more nutrients. When it's eaten about 2/3 of the sugar, I'll add more nutrients. And that'll keep the yeast nice and healthy throughout the entire fermentation process. A lot of the weird, funky off flavors in mead come from when the yeasts are tired and sluggish and they get stressed out. Keep making sure they have plenty of nutrients will really help to make sure that they've got, they don't get stressed out and you won't develop off flavors. So that's our mead for this Homebrew Wednesday, and I'll bring you updates on it as we go on through the next fermentation. Next one, we should have our XPA ready to bottle, and well, not ready to bottle, we'll dry hop that, the XPA, and that should probably be in the next couple days, and then bottling. So see you then.